I'm muted. Hi, y'all. I got back from the dinner, had just enough time to walk Lucy, and then the verdict came in. Can you not hear me? Hi. 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 Oh, I hear myself. Verdict is in. It was literally just in time. I walked Lucy, and my kid is here. We're about to watch a movie, and then this came on. Let's see. There's headphone. We don't have sound from the courtroom yet. I was just making sure. Yeah, I'll put up a poll real quick. Start a poll. Oh, hold on.
All right, we're back on the record in State of Florida versus Ashley Benefield, 2020 CF 3014. I've been informed there's a verdict. Prior to bringing the jury out, I did want to make this announcement. The jury has reached a verdict, and I'm about to bring them out so the verdict can be reviewed and published. I know many of you here in the audience have been here throughout the trial, and I want to thank you for conducting yourselves appropriately throughout the trial. I realize that the reading of the verdict can be very stressful, and it is likely that some of you will agree with the jury's verdict, and some of you will not. As sometimes happens, it may be that no one is pleased with the jury's verdict. Whatever your personal feelings are about this jury's verdict, I ask you to remember that these jurors were randomly selected from our community. They were thoroughly questioned by the court and lawyers for both sides, and they were selected from the larger group to hear this case because of their demonstrated ability to be fair and impartial. I've paid close attention to this jury, and they have been attentive, observant, and focused throughout the trial. No matter how much you agree or disagree with the verdict, there are to be no outbursts of emotion. Our judicial system, in fact, our entire society, has relied on jurors to help resolve disputes for over 200 years. Their verdict needs to be respected, even if you don't understand it or don't agree with it. Are you ready to bring in the jury?
Yes, sir.
All right, bring them in.
I was at the birthday dinner, checking my phone, looking for updates. Oh, I don't even know.
All right, you all can have a seat. Members of the jury, I understand you have a verdict, and we have a foreperson.
Yes, we do.
Ma'am, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, we have.
Is the verdict unanimous?
Yes, it is.
Would you please hand the verdict form to the deputy? I need to check it, make sure it's in proper form. Thank you. All right, the verdict appears to be in proper form. Madam Clerk, would you please publish the verdict?
In the Circuit Court of the 12th Judicial Circuit in and for Manatee County, Florida,
The State of Florida versus Ashley Benefield, case number 2020 CF 3014. Verdict. We, the jury, finds as follows as to the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter, a lesser included offense. Did Ashley Benefield actually carry a firearm? Yes. Did Ashley Benefield discharge a firearm? Yes. Did Ashley Benefield, as a result of discharging a firearm, cause death to Douglas Benefield? Yes. So say we all this 30th day of July, 2024, at Bradenton, Manatee County, Florida. Cheryl Forkerson.
Would either side like the jury polled? State?
No.
Defendants?
Yes, sir.
Members of the jury, you're now going to be polled. The clerk is going to ask each of you individually if this is your verdict and the verdict of the jury as a whole. Madam Clerk?
Juror
Manslaughter.
number 15, is this your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Juror number 20, is this your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Juror 21, is this your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Juror number 29, is this your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Juror number 33, is this your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
And juror number 35, is this your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Thank you. Members of the jury, I want to thank you for your time and consideration in this case. I know that many of you have missed important work obligations and family obligations and other engagements that you had planned, as well as time with your families. But I want to thank you for being willing to give us your time and your attention and being observant to this entire trial and serving as jurors and doing your civic duty. I have paperwork that we're going to give you that will reflect your service as a juror, as well as a piece of paper from the clerk's office documenting that each of you has been here for these number of days if you need it for work purposes. If you need some sort of other paperwork for work or anything like that, contact my judicial assistant and we'll be able to get that for you. I also want to advise you of some very special privileges that all jurors enjoy. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are at liberty to speak with anyone about your deliberations, you are also at liberty to refuse to speak with anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from the attorneys, or elsewhere. Bless you. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror or not. Again, on behalf of myself, the entire judges of the 12th Circuit, thank you very much for your time and your attention during this trial. I now discharge you as jurors in this case and release you from any further obligations in this matter. You're free to go. Make sure you pick up your electronic devices. And please make sure that your notes stay with the deputy. They're going to be returned to me. They will be destroyed. No one will ever read your notes. Thank you.
Honestly, I can't say. I've been in
You all can have a seat.
DV situation and I couldn't say.
State.
Judge, I would ask you to remand the defendant at this point. I believe she has a right to a PSI for sentencing, so I'm not sure if she would waive that or proceed with that.
Do you want to PSI?
I think we'd prefer to have PSI.
I'll sign an order tonight for that. It's a late in the evening. My judicial assistant will reach out to both of you tomorrow to begin coordinating a hearing, sentencing hearing. You could let her know how much time you need. Right now, the pre-sentence investigations are running a month to 6 weeks, so it'll certainly, the time for sentencing will be outside of that, but then you can let me know how much time you'll need.
Let me direct myself, Your Honor, to post-trial release if I can.
Yes, sir.
Under Youngston, I know that Younghans, rather, I know that the court is familiar with the standard. They stated in no uncertain terms, but if taken in good faith on grounds not frivolous but fairly debatable in view of the decisions of the Supreme Court, then the petitioner should be admitted to bail. And they set out for the trial court 3 factors. The first, with respect to the appeal not being frivolous, I think by the court's own acknowledgement at 2 different points in the trial, the court noted that we were dealing with novel issues that the court had not seen before. I think we certainly have good and sufficient grounds to appeal in good faith. The factors, according to Younghans, Your Honor, is the habits of the individual as respect for the law. Ms. Benefield has no prior history of criminal activity, as the court knows. Her local attachments to the community by way of family ties, business, or investments. She lives here in Bradenton, has lived here for a while. Her mother resides here, her child resides here. The severity of the punishment imposed for the offense, that is substantial. There's no denying it. And any other circumstance relevant to the question of whether the person would be tempted to remove herself from the jurisdiction of the court. Ms. Benefield, on every single occasion over the course of the life of this case, has appeared when requested. She has never once failed to meet any obligation pursuant to the bond that she's on. As a result, we ask that the court entertain setting a post-trial bond. The only other thing that the court noted in the Younghans decision was that it's axiomatic that the exercise of judicial discretion should never be arbitrary, capricious, or unreasonable, and where the discretion is exercised in favor of denying to a person a basic and fundamental right, the reasons for doing so should be sound and they should be clearly stated. So pursuant to Rule 3.691, post-trial release, Your Honor, we ask that the court admit Ms. Benefield to bond, continue her on the same bond, in fact. And if the court is not inclined to do so, we ask that Your Honor stay the decision so that we can appeal directly to the second district. As the court knows, it's an accelerated docket because of the nature of the motion, that is to say, the bond.
Thank you. State, did you want to be heard?
Judge, I object to any bond at this point. The potential sentence is 30 years. While this defendant may have appeared at every court hearing, she was not convicted of the charge at the time. She has much more at stake at this point, being convicted of this crime, and I would ask you to deny the bond.
In rebuttal.
No, sir.
Ms. Benefield, the jury, having found you guilty of manslaughter with a firearm, are going to remand you to the custody of the Manatee County Sheriff. We're going to revoke your bonds where you'll be held pending sentencing.
They're taking her tonight.
court will stay in recess until we get a sentencing hearing set up.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I trust Your Honor will issue a written order on the bond.
The bond?
Yes.
Yes. If it's required, I certainly will.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thanks, thank you.
I feel bad for the kids. Is Eva going out? Oh. Yeah, she's faces up to 30 years. I don't know. I mean, like I said, this one is not one that I could vote in. I am too like with with history of DV. I've gone. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to vote. The prosecutor just said 30. They had read the extra whatever she had. Here, let's just pull up her indictment before I. Let's see. I wonder, I would love to know the jury, what they were hung up on and what they, if there was one holdout or if it was a holdout for, one of the lessers, or if it was, or what it was. Because I hate the thought that somebody compromised what they think for, to get out of there. I hate to think that could be, I just hate to think that. Yeah, she said 30 years, which is why they said that they didn't want her to remain on bond because she faces 30 years. It's crazy. Yeah, Distant says it's a quick compromise verdict. That's what's scary about these. When they say that they can't reach a verdict and then they go back and then they come back with a verdict, that's alarming to me. Good night. Good night. Oh yeah, there will be a movie. Hello. That's a good question. If she had had bruises or a bloody nose or any of that, do you think that it would have been different? Hello, hello. Um, the minimum. Oh, wait, that's vehicular manslaughter. Hold on. Um, I think 9 years and 3 months, I believe. Me. Let's see. Yeah, I think for the manslaughter, 9 years and 3 months, but she had um the gun. I'm trying to see. See, they add um years on those the things that the jury was reading right after that. And Florida law right now looking. I think it adds a couple years. I can't find it in the law. I'll have to look it up. I'll see if I can find it. Um, Good night. Good night. Sherry says, yes, I don't think they saw it as self-defense. Maybe if she had more bruises and stuff. I mean, that's the hard part. Ashley says 15 to 30 years. So is that with firearm, 11 and a half years minimum? I was thinking it added 2 years, but I can't remember, honestly. And the only reason I don't know if I heard that on a different trial or it could have been a different state. Okay, so 11. So most of y'all are saying 11 and a half. So then that would be the minimum up to 30. I am incredibly sad for the children as well. I think that, Eva and Emerson, that's so incredibly hard. In my opinion, it was the forensics that got the jury to get her with the lesser charge. Yeah. Did she really have her daughter out there protesting? I saw a picture with her holding a sign that said, keep my mom free or something. Hold on, let me pull it up. I will pull it up. I've been staying off Twitter. Let me pull it up. I saw this. Oh, you can't see that because I have it. It says, keep my mommy free. I don't know. This is just what was posted on Twitter. Keep my mommy free. Hey, Baker, being able to put a lesser included in at the end is BS. Either you believe it, murder in the second, or you charge it. Yeah. That's why I'm so curious to know what they thought before they came back, you know? I bet not one woman on the jury has been DV. I guarantee they haven't, because they would have nixed those. Prosecution especially. Would have been like, nope. Welcome, new member, thinking from Texas, Whitney. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So the evidence about his first wife being abused didn't really make a difference. I think that the big thing is, I don't think that anybody, well, I won't say anybody. I think that during the trial, it was proven to most people. I know some people don't believe it, but I think with all of the evidence, I think that it was proven to most people that, you know, he is aggressive, and I say abusive. I know that some people, like you heard even the prosecutor, like making it out to be like the only form of abuse is if they're punching, and that's not true. But I think that the big question becomes, did she fear for her life in that moment? And I guess that's what they're struggling with. I wouldn't have wanted to be on the jury. Good night, good night. Good night, good night. I'll take a look tomorrow. I've got a meeting in the morning, and then I've got to work on the podcast, and then I'm going to start looking for what's next. I got a busy day tomorrow. Serenity, welcome. Welcome to the family. Welcome, welcome. You live here now. You live here now. I think, yeah, I see what y'all are saying. Oh yeah, Jackie, I'll stop by there tomorrow too. I've been needing to go by anyway. I'll stop by there tomorrow. I think the problem for me too is that she has definitely done some toxic things, and she has contributed to a toxic relationship. So that is hard. But also it doesn't justify, you know, him shooting holes in the ceiling or punching holes in the wall or anything. Like none of that's justified. But I don't know. I'll say this. I'm glad I wasn't on the jury. I think it was that timeline. I agree, Brandi. It was at that moment, and she had demonstrated many times to ability and resources to get away. She allowed him there. I'm not saying these are my beliefs. Yeah, I think that was, well, it's like, yeah, I agree. I think that, like I said earlier, the biggest thing that the biggest evidence that the prosecution had going for them, I think, was the timeline. And the biggest evidence that the defense had going for them was the previous history of abuse and aggression. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. Guilty of manslaughter. I just jumped on. I saw that it was, I got home from the birthday dinner and walked Lucy and then was just about to watch a movie with my kid. He came over. We're about to watch a movie. Yeah, this is a big part for me. Sandy Harp says this one hit too close for me with DV, so I think that's why I'm mad because of the prosecution's portrayal of DV. That bothered me too, because I feel like the things that they were saying are the kinds of things that keep people from coming forward when they're going through it, and that really bothered me. Kat Randall, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. I'm bummed out. I feel like all DV cases in the stand your ground will have precedent. Yeah. Yeah. This is a tough one. All right, I'm going to end our poll. How much time is manslaughter? I think it's between 11 and a half to 30 years. Phoenix says, I'm actually a survivor and I did not believe her story. She abused the system and wanted the child to herself. I found her to be manipulative. I do think that some of the stuff that was in the testimony from the officer was, worked against her. And I think that the timeline of how things happened, how some of the stuff happened, worked against her. But I think that having him, admitting in depositions and stuff that he, punched the holes in the wall and he shot the gun in the house and he threw a loaded gun at her. And then the message from his second wife, Eva's mom, talking about him kicking her when he got mad and stuff like that. Boosh, she's guilty of manslaughter. So they took her into custody. Did he try to attack her? And that's what when she shot him, what made her do that? That's what she said. Yeah, that he had been getting aggressive and he got down into like a fighter's stance or something. And then when he got into the fighter stance, then he lunged at her. And that's when she shot him. So it's interesting too to see that DV survivors are also split on this. Which isn't necessarily too surprising given the fact that there are a lot of people who have lied about it as a way to try to get out of, charges for something, or as a way to try to manipulate family court systems and things like that. It does happen, unfortunately, and it's infuriating when it does, because then it makes people who come forward not be believed. So then you look at something like this and, you know, it could be having that same effect if she's being truthful and people aren't believing her because people do lie, or if she's being truthful and, or I mean, if she's not being truthful and she's another one of those. It's interesting to see the split between DV survivors who think both ways. That's been very interesting. Yeah, the things that he did are not in dispute. Like all of the stuff about, the only thing that's really in dispute is the stuff that happened that night. So Gailey May says, I can tell you as a victim's advocate and a cop, I've seen a lot of cases where the victim is flat out lying. It was so frustrating for the real victims. It is. I hate to see that. It makes me infuriated. But that night is the one that mattered. I think that the timeline, like I said, I think that the timeline is going to be a big, you know, could have been a big part. I'll be interested to see if any of these jurors do interviews. I would be interested to hear their thoughts on it and what evidence made them lean one way or another. So, interesting stuff. All right. I am going to get off here because I'm about to watch a movie with my kid. Family time is the best time. So, I am glad that I made it home right in time to be able to watch this with y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see y'all too. I appreciate it. Tomorrow I'm going to take a look when I finish working on podcasts and I finish my meeting and all that in the morning. I'm going to take a look and see what's next for us. Oh yeah, I always forget to say this. Don't forget to hit the like. I always forget that part. I'll get better. Oh yeah, for sure they're going to appeal because they always appeal. Like pretty much everybody that gets convicted appeals, but we'll see. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out and watching it with me. I'm going to hang out with my kid. I love y'all.
Yeah, I gotta go. I can't stick around here.
Everybody was wonderful. Everybody behaved. Everybody's always so nice to me.
Just love your channel. And
Goodbye. Now, how the heck do I get out of here?